Hi, this is ND Simpson with Game Domain, and today we're going to be counting down the top 10 Switch games from my subjective opinion. Now that the Nintendo Switch 2 is right around the corner, the Nintendo Switch 1 is nearing its end. There will be new games that release on the Nintendo Switch 1, but now that Nintendo's main console is shifting focus, now feels like a good time to look back at the era. The best way I can think to honor this era of the Nintendo Switch is to look back at my favorite games and make a top 10 list for you guys.
Number 10, Super Mario Maker 2. Mario Maker is one of those revolutionary games that comes out of nowhere and creates a whole new genre. Much like Splatoon, the original Mario Maker came out on the Wii U and it revolutionized 2D Mario. The game let you take a seat in the developer's chair, make your own levels, and then share them with the whole community. Mario Maker 2 is everything that Mario Maker 1 was, but better. Now, there's a whole fleshed out story mode, making this essentially a brand new traditional 2D Mario game on top of being a new Mario Maker game. The story mode was enjoyable, but it doesn't stack up to standalone 2D Mario games like Super Mario Bros. U, in my opinion. Where the game shines though, is in the Maker mode. It's just as much of a blast to make levels in this game as it was in the first game, except now you have even more tools in your toolkit. One of the first levels I made in this game was an automatic level that utilized the new car item in the new 3D world style. And during quarantine, I had fun making a level themed around the Bullet Bill transformation item. But the two levels that we had the most fun making were the ones that we made for you guys. It's a Game Domain Christmas in 2020, and it's a Game Domain Christmas 2 in 2022. If this were a Wii U tier list and this entry were Super Mario Maker 1, it would be in the top 3 without a doubt. Part of that is because the Wii U simply didn't have as many bangers as the Switch, but also, I do have more of a soft spot for the first game than I do for the second one. On a technical level, the second game is better. The only ways that the first entry technically outclasses the second are that the first entry has the amiibo costumes and the Wii U gamepad. The amiibo costumes turn Mario Maker 1 into basically Nintendo Maker by letting you make levels about practically any Nintendo franchise, and even non-Nintendo franchises like Sonic. Mario Maker 2 did add in a Link transformation item, but that's only one extra character compared to the dozens of extra in the first game. Second, placing blocks and making levels was way more seamless with the Wii U gamepad, but there's nothing the Switch really could have done about that. Maybe the Switch 2 will have a gamepad mode that works like the Wii U. Number 9, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the first game that made me realize the multiplayer potential that the Nintendo Switch had. There were a few multiplayer Switch games that came out on launch, like Snipper Clips and Bomberman, but they weren't really heavy hitters that you'd see anyone outside of die-hard Nintendo fans play. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe released about a month after the Switch's launch, and before that, I hadn't really seen casual people playing the Switch with their friends in the wild. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe changed it all. The spring and summer following its release, every time I saw a Switch out in the wild, it was being used exactly like in the trailers. Two friends, one with the blue Joy-Con, the other with the red, kickstand flipped out, and Mario Kart on screen. The first time I saw this was at a park. A girl had her Nintendo Switch out, and about 10 people were taking turns racing in Mario Kart. The Switch was being used to its fullest potential, to play fun multiplayer console games on the go, just like Nintendo was showing us in the trailers. There's a reason why this game was the first to do it. It's Mario Kart, and I really hope I don't have to inform you of the wonders of Mario Kart. It's fun and competitive multiplayer racing action with the perfect balance between luck and skill. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, in particular, is fine-tuned for multiplayer fun. In my opinion, this game is Apex Mario Kart. Far and away, my favorite mode is the Cops vs. Robbers game in Battle Mode, where the Cops team gets a piranha plant placed on each of their cars that will eat a robber if they're in range, and the robbers have to free their allies from prison and avoid all of them being caught at once before the time runs out to win. Most often I played this mode 1v1 with one of my siblings, but playing Mario Kart with a group of friends was always a blast too. For completionists out there, this game also has a lot to offer, with Gold Mario and a fully gold Kart available to those of you who are willing to get fast at each cup. Before moving on, I'll leave you all with a question. Who's your main in this game? I mainly played as Morton, with occasional switches to Rosalina, Link, or Gold Mario. Number 8, Pokémon Let's Go. Specifically Pokémon Let's Go Pikachu, because that's the main one I played. But I did end up buying both versions because I fell so much in love with the game. To understand why I loved Pokemon Let's Go so much, you have to understand something about me. I am a sucker for collectibles. Give me a goal, like, gotta catch them all, and make that goal relatively fun to grind at, and you've got me hooked. As such, Pokemon has always been one of my favorite franchises. Heck, I even spent over 600 hours in Pokemon Quest. Yeah, you heard that right, Pokemon Quest. That blocky mobile Pokemon game that was on Switch. How is that even possible, you might be wondering? Well, I was an addict to collecting those shiny Pokemon. I developed an incredible strategy that let me put the game on autopilot and collect shiny Pokemon with minimal effort. That's how I racked up all of those hours. Most of them I was not actually playing the game. But with that strategy, I ended up collecting 148 out of 151 shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Quest. Maybe I should return one day to get the final 3 and make a video about it. If you guys want to see that, let us know in the comments down below. Anyways, now that you guys know how much of a shiny hunting addict I was, you should be able to understand why I love Pokemon Let's Go so much. Only 153 Pokemon to shiny hunt, so it's a reasonable yet grindable goal. The shiny hunting process in this game is fun, and the graphics are pretty enough. Yeah, the campaign itself was fun too. I found the catch mechanics, battles, and music to be all very enjoyable, but the shiny hunting in this game is really what stuck with me. For practically the entire summer of 2019, when I wasn't outside playing Pokemon Go, I was inside playing Pokemon Let's Go, shiny hunting while watching YouTube in the background. To have nothing to do but shiny hunt. Number 7, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I tried getting into Dynasty Warrior games before with the original Hyrule Warriors on Wii U, and again when the Deluxe edition came out on Switch, but for some reason the game didn't click with me either time. In retrospect, I think that was for 2 reasons. Number 1, the combat system in the original Hyrule Warriors wasn't as refined as it is in Age of Calamity. But number 2, and more importantly, Age of Calamity had a meaningful story. I have to admit, the original Hyrule Warriors felt a bit pointless. Although the story was fun, it was a spin-off game, so the story was more meaningful. The story in Age of Calamity, though, was the prequel to Breath of the Wild, where we explore what originally sent Hyrule into calamity, Zelda into imprisonment, and Link into slumber. 1,000 years ago. It doesn't get more meaningful than that. Take a grindable game, mix it with a meaningful story, add a splash or reasonable completion requirement, and a hint of fun gameplay, and you've got yourself a game I can get behind. The story in this game, including the cutscenes, is genuinely beautiful and heartwarming. I don't want to get into spoilers, but I'll just say that if you don't plan on ever playing this game yourself, I highly recommend watching all the cutscenes on YouTube, including the one you get for 100% completion. Number 6, Breath of the Wild. Skipping forward 100 years, we're brought to Link, resting in a bed of shallow water, being told to open his eyes and to wake up, Link. 2 sentences that would make any 2016 Nintendo fan nostalgic. It's hard to explain to anyone who wasn't a Nintendo fan in 2016 just how magical the lead up to this game was. Before the Switch was even a term, I remember talking to my friends about the NX rumors we were hearing on YouTube. At the time, about 2015, the Wii U was still Nintendo's main console, and it wasn't a good time to be a diehard Nintendo fan. We had a lot of fun games to play, Mario Maker, Splatoon, Smash Bros, Mario Kart, and more, but it started to feel like being a Nintendo fan was like being in a small club that was destined to die. The Wii U was a financial embarrassment. Nintendo was practically begging people to watch the trailers for their games, and the trailers themselves were cringe. At the time, all we had to look forward to in the future was a trailer of this gorgeous new Zelda game that was supposedly coming to Wii U, and rumors of a brand new Nintendo console on the horizon, codenamed NX. As time passed, we came to learn that this new Zelda game would be called Breath of the Wild, and the console would be this brand new thing called the Nintendo Switch, which kind of looked like a Wii U gamepad, but slimmer. And like you could detach the sides and use them as controllers. The air was filled with hope, but also uncertainty, as nobody knew if Nintendo could return to the glory of the Wii era, or if the Wii U doomed Nintendo to become a niche gaming company, a lot like Sega. But now, the waves of momentum were moving, and they felt unstoppable. Trailers for Breath of the Wild were breaking records, and trailers of the Nintendo Switch in action were blowing people's mind. I still remember the reveal trailer for the Nintendo Switch, where a guy starts off by playing Breath of the Wild on the TV and then brings it with him on the go to walk his dog. I'm sure I've watched that trailer well over a dozen times. Then we had E3 2016, one of the most memorable E3s of all time for Nintendo, where at their treehouse, they sat down and played through the Great Plateau in Breath of the Wild casually. This is when it clicked in everyone's mind. Breath of the Wild isn't just going to be another Zelda, and the NX isn't just going to be another Wii U. This is going to be on par with the revolutionary impact of the Wii and Mario Galaxy, if not be even more groundbreaking. As March 3rd, 2017 approached, the momentum was overwhelming. The Switch was going to be revolutionary, Breath of the Wild was going to be a masterpiece, and so it was. Breath of the Wild was everything everyone hoped for. It was open world, it was explorative, it didn't hold your hand, it was beautiful. It was peak open world gameplay mixed with Zelda, like seeing the original Legend of Zelda game from the NES in its fully realized form. This was the first game that I ever played that really let me explore. I never played an open world game before, as I'd always been a diehard Nintendo fan, and those mostly all hold your hand to a decent extent. It wasn't like in previous Zelda games where there was one way to solve a puzzle and you had to figure it out. No, not here. Here, the puzzle is figuring out how to choose between the 10 different ways you want to approach a camp of bokoblins, all of which can work. Do you want to sneak up behind them? Do you want to charge in? Do you want to drop a TNT barrel onto them with an arrow? Well, it's all up to you. There's a reason why this game won. Game of the Year 2017, and why it's often put in the list of top 3 best Zelda games. My only wish is that the dungeons and story were a bit more fleshed out, but the game already gave me so much joy that I can't complain. Alright, so number 5, Super Mario Odyssey. I still remember Super Mario Odyssey's reveal in that one Switch trailer where the girl's playing it on her TV before she takes it to go hang out with her friends. All we had was footage of Mario running around a desert with some bullet bills. So speculation was difficult, but people tried nonetheless. But I don't think anyone could have predicted just how groundbreaking Super Mario Odyssey would become. It's apex 3D Mario, right up there with the impact that 64 and Galaxy had. In fact, Mario Odyssey made everyone realize that the Switch might just be the home to the apex of every Nintendo franchise. Breath of the Wild set the standard, and Mario Odyssey solidified it. Because as this game got closer and closer to release, and more trailers came out, it became clear that this game was going to be to Mario what Breath of the Wild was to Zelda. Everyone could tell before playing the game that it would be a masterpiece, and like what happened with Breath of the Wild, there were no surprises when the game released. Truly was a masterpiece. It was a sandbox like Mario 64, but it had the polish of Mario Galaxy, and it innovated in its own ways by introducing moons and Cappy. Some people complain about moons, that there aren't too many in this game, which undermines their value. I agree that a moon in Odyssey doesn't feel as special as a star in Galaxy, but that's just fine with me. It's a different approach to the one Galaxy took, but both approaches are enjoyable, and Odyssey even has those special triple moons for special occasions, which give the same feeling of being special that stars did in Galaxy. Then there's Cappy, who is revolutionary in more ways than one. Number 1, Cappy adds so much diversity to Mario's moveset, letting him dive jump, roll jump, etc., which adds to the gameplay feeling buttery smooth in this game. Seriously, even after I 100%ed it, I would regularly boot up Odyssey just so I could run around and perform tricks. No Mario game, heck, no other game that I've played in general feels as fun to boot up and just aimlessly run around in as Mario Odyssey. Not even Mario 64 comes close in my opinion. If I were stranded on an island with only a Switch and 5 games to play, I'd definitely bring Mario Odyssey, because I could just run around and do tricks in that game forever. Overall, Mario is just a beautiful game with beautiful gameplay, innovation, and music. I'm still here just wondering where Super Mario Odyssey 2 is. Number 4, Super Mario Wonder. I've always been a massive fan of 2D Mario games, even when that opinion wasn't popular. I remember back in 2020, most videos I saw online from the Nintendo community about 2D Mario were about how stale the series had gotten, and how it's just become a cash cow for Nintendo to milk. For some reason, I never felt the same way. My craving for 2D Mario was insatiable, and I would have been perfectly happy with more games just like New Super Mario Bros. U. Granted, I never really played 2D Mario games by myself. I always played them multiplayer with friends or family. Perhaps if I played them by myself, I would have gotten bored more easily. But playing the 2D Mario games like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on Switch was always a blast for me. Fun and chaotic multiplayer, achievable goals to strive for, star coins. I mean, what's not to love? I was already a massive fan of the new Super games, so you can imagine my excitement when Super Mario Wonder got announced. It promised to be everything I ever loved and more, bringing innovation without sacrificing on fun or the madness of multiplayer. The innovation in this game is not just for show. It adds to the gameplay by bringing fun new moves and power-ups, like the elephant that I'm sure everyone has seen. Add in the beautiful graphics and we have our cherry on top. This game is peak 2D Mario. It's the accumulation of all its predecessors combined, with its own innovation and style. Number 3, Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. Now that you understand my love for multiplayer Mario games, it shouldn't be hard to understand why I love this game so much. It's everything Nintendo and Mario has ever been about. It puts fun as the first priority. The game is buttery, the multiplayer is chaotic and enjoyable, the music is gorgeous, the levels are varied, there's collectibles, and a 100% completion to grind. And there's a mode in this game that capitalizes on being a sandbox. This game truly represents what the Mario franchise is about like no other game. 3D World is peak multiplayer Mario fun, and Bowser's Fury adds the sandbox element. I have to say, I even like the speed change from the Wii U to this game, which some people were complaining about when the game came out. If you don't know, your characters move much faster in this game on Switch than they did on Wii U before the port. However, in my opinion, this made the game way more fun to play through, especially when you consider that to 100% the game, you have to beat it 5 times. One with each character. Bowser's Fury, although less multiplayer centric, was still very good. You get to turn into Super Saiyan Mario, which is a neat bonus too. Number 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Writing this list makes me remember what a time it was to be a Nintendo fan in 2017 and 2018. In literally just a few years, Nintendo went from every game being a flop and every trailer being cringe in the Wii U era to every game being a masterpiece and every trailer breaking the internet in the Switch era. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was one of those special games where every trailer broke the internet. I still remember watching all of my favorite YouTubers' reactions whenever a new trailer dropped. Then, on December 7th, 2018, Masahiro Sakurai brought us the best Super Smash Bros. Game of all time. The most refined combat, the most characters, and the most gorgeous visuals out of any Smash Bros. Game. It was destined to be a masterpiece. Although the story mode, in my opinion, doesn't live up to Subspace Emissary, it's still very good. Anyone else watch that cutscene where every Nintendo character gets zapped out of existence except for Kirby? I watched that on repeat endlessly, and I think it's really cool that Sakurai got to let the character he invented when he was only 19 be the sole survivor. That's right, if you didn't know, Sakurai invented Kirby for the Game Boy title Kirby's Dream Land with his team at HAL Laboratory in 1992 when he was only 19 years old. And he's still making revolutionary games for us today. How beautiful is that? It seems like anything Sakurai touches turns to gold, and Smash Ultimate was no exception. The game continued breaking the internet even after the release, with DLC characters like Sora from Kingdom Hearts and Steve from Minecraft. To this day, Smash Ultimate is a blast to boot up and play a 1v1 online, against a computer, or against a friend, and I doubt that will ever change. Before getting to my number one entry on this list, let's go over some honorable mentions. There are a couple of games that probably would be on this list if I played them or dedicated more time to them, but I never really got around to it. First is Tears of the Kingdom. The game came out during a busy period of my life, so I didn't buy it around release, and I've just never gotten around to it. At this point, I might just wait for the Switch 2 to come out to play it. Second is Kirby and the Forgotten Dreamland. I love 3D platformers, and I'm a sucker for the graphic direction this game took. I'm almost sure that if I played this game, it would be on the list. When the game came out, I had a large Nintendo backlog already and a Splatoon obsession, so I had no real desire to purchase the game. And since then, I've just gotten busier and just never got around to trying it out, but I would love to someday. Last is Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is a game I actually did play, but only for about 5 hours. I played it right around the peak of the game, May 2020, because of all the hype for it. I actually did find the 5 hours I played to be pretty enjoyable, and I like designing my home base every time I start a new Minecraft world, so I think if I gave this game more time, I would have enjoyed it. I just had other things in life going on at the time, and by the time my schedule cleared up in 2021, the game was kinda dead. Number 1, could you guess it? We have almost every major Nintendo franchise on this list, except for Metroid. And this one, Splatoon. Now, the question is, which Splatoon game is my favorite? Splatoon 2 or Splatoon 3? The answer to that is Splatoon 2. I actually never played that much of Splatoon 3. I was busy when it came out, and by the time I picked it up, I was getting wrecked by people online who were more experienced than me, and I never gave it a fair chance after that. But with Splatoon 2, you better believe the hype was there. Remember, I was a day one Switch owner, so whatever Nintendo was releasing, I was playing. Super Bomberman R, ARMS, you name it. Now, on the Wii U, I did play a fair bit of Splatoon 1, and I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't have put it in my top 3 Wii U games. The hype wasn't there for me to grind it out and really click with the game on the Wii U. But Splatoon 2 was a different story. I got my first taste of the game on March 24th, 2017, when Splatoon 2 had its global test fire. And you bet I basically played the game all weekend. I got my taste of Splatoon Switch goodness, and I was immediately hooked. I'm not 100% sure why this game immediately clicked with me, but the first and third games didn't. Though I think part of it is because I was with Splatoon 2 from the beginning. I started playing it literally from the first test fire, meaning I had just as much of a chance to keep up with the game as everyone else. Then the next time I got to play Splatoon 2 was on July 15th, 2017, 1 week before launch, when Splatoon 2 had its first Splatfest. Cake versus ice cream. I can't remember what I chose at the time, but I'm guessing it was probably ice cream. I've always loved ice cream. And if I had to choose a side nowadays, I would choose ice cream, no doubt. I eat healthier nowadays, so I don't eat either on a regular basis. But on vacations or holidays, I'll get Haagen-Dazs since it has cleaner ingredients. Just cream, milk, sugar, and egg yolks as the base, typically. And then more ingredients for whatever flavor you get. Chocolate, coffee, and vanilla are my favorite. Anyway, I got hooked on Splatoon 2 the moment it came out. There's no other way to describe it other than addiction. The game was fun, including all of the modes. Turf War, Rainmaker, Splat Zones, Tower Control, even Clam Blitz. There was something so satisfying about moving around, splatting people, and leveling up my skills in the game. Everything felt so smooth. Progression was going well, I was getting good, and it felt like the game was rewarding me for it. I got to S+ in all of the modes. I got to level 99 and beyond. I 100%ed the story mode. I properly fell in love with the game. I never played League of Legends, but I began to understand why people get addicted to it. There's something about playing a team-based game with fun gameplay and a ranking system that's so addicting. Not to mention, Splatoon 2 is genuinely crafted with love and care. The music, the story mode, the fluidity of the controls. Just look at it and see how much passion went into crafting it. I'm gonna have to stop talking about it now because I might get addicted to it again, and if that happens, that's not going to be good for my productivity. So yeah, if you're curious, my favorite weapon in that game was the Tentatech Splatter Shot. I even got the gold flag on it from grinding Turf War. And my favorite track was Spicy Calamari Incantation. I highly recommend you listen to the track, even if you have no aspirations to play the game. Gosh, all my hype is coming back for the game just listening to it. There we have it, my 10 favorite games from the Nintendo Switch era. If I offended you, let us know in the comments. While you're down there, give us your top 10 list too. This has been ND Simpson with Game Domain. Here's to hoping the Switch 2 has as many gems as the Switch 1.